So we've already looked at activity-based costing and using a single rate, overhead rate, to come up with the cost of these two products, Model A and Model B. And the last thing we're going to look at is that instead of using the one single rate, maybe we have an organization that can be split into departments. And, like an assembly department, a painting department, whatever, fabrication department. And we're going to allocate the overhead based off of an individual department base. It's kind of somewhere in the middle between the one unit rate and the activity-based costing rate. And so I've got all the information in front of us. We're told that there are two departments. Department 1 has a rate of $2.33 per machine hour, and Department 2 has a labor rate or an overhead rate of 60 cents per direct labor hour. And let me just explain quickly this table I've put together because it really quickly calculates for me the cost per model. We got Model A here in this row all the way across, and we got Model B here in this row right below it all the way across. Will show us our cost per unit and the overhead. And the orange area is meant to distinguish Department 1 costs from the gray area, which is meant to distinguish Department 2 costs. And then my yellow boxes here are just a cross or a subtotal to make sure I've correctly allocated all the costs and that they match up to the total overhead that I'm trying to allocate to the two different parts. So one thing I've done is I've created and actually just pushed the rate for Department 1 right here. So it's $2.33 per machine hour. And I got my rate for the Department 2 at 60 cents per labor hour right here. And I've already got a bunch of formulas built in here that I created before I started to record the video. And so what will happen is when I put in for Model A, remember Model A is going to run across here horizontally in this row. And I'm going to put how many hours that product goes through Department 1, which is 10,000. And you're going to watch all the numbers just kind of populate across for me. So this number here was simply a formula where I took the total hours in Department 1 for Model A times the rate per hour, and that gave me $23,300. And then in here what I did was I divided that total cost by the 30,000 parts that we're going to create for Model A. I can do the same thing with Department 2. Model A, remember I'm looking at Model A, this is Department 2. I want to show that we're going to consume 130,000 hours. And again, it calculated real quickly for me my total unit cost for overhead anyhow. So it took the I'll just show you the formula here. I took the 130,000 hours times the 60 cent allocation rate, and that gave me a total overhead of 78,000, and I divided that total dollar amount again by the 30,000 units that we're going to create for Model A. So what you'll see is that my total per unit cost here is a combination of this $2.60 and the 78 cents. And so that's how I come up with $3.38 for Model A if we're using the two departmental rate method. So Model B will use the same methods here. We're going to take the total hours that are consumed in Department 1, which are 170,000, and then we're told that information. I got to put it in the right box first, or else it won't tabulate over for me. So again, you can see I'm applying that 233 at the 170,000 hours, gives me 396,100, and it's $1.32 per unit. I'll just show you real quickly the formulas in case you're wondering. Same thing, hours times the rate gives me the total. And over here, the one change from the Model A is that we are creating more parts. 300,000 parts are going to be we're spreading this 396,100 over 300,000 parts, so that's why it's $1.32. Sorry about that. And in Department 2, we are going, remember we're looking at Model B, it's going to consume 270,000 direct labor hours. Populated my rates for me here. I've got $162,000 in total from Department 2. That's the 60 cents times this 270. And we're going to spread that out over the 300,000 parts we anticipate to make. This 186 then is the combination of this 54 cents and the 132. So here are really the answers that the problem asks for. It's 338 and 186. But just to make sure I did it right, again, counting we want to be as accurate as we can be. and we're going to double check and triple check our numbers as often as we can. So what I know here is that we've allocated from Department 1 $419,000. So if I add that amount to the amount we've allocated from Department 2, this 400, it's not 400, those are hours, it's 240,000. We've allocated approximately $660,000 of total overhead, which matches the other two methods that we allocated. So completely different costs using the three different methods. And of course we would consider activity-based costing to be the most accurate. It took the most time, but it was the most accurate. So that's the requirement number 3 for this problem.